have you guys taken to the off season so far? Have you guys been liking what you've been seeing as far as moves and?
It's good that at least with the NFL off season, it's probably like the least affected thing from the virus so far. I mean, like a lot of the stuff that we've seen, it's still been hype regardless. The Tom Brady thing. Honestly, like I did not expect Tom Brady to leave. I was one of those people. I was just like, look, he's always been in New England. He's not leaving New England. Why would he ever want to do that? And then of Tampa Bay, with all things, I feel like was that a family move? I guess like that was something that really shocked me.
See, to me, Tampa Bay wasn't his first choice. He wanted to go to Indianapolis. Indianapolis were like, nah, we don't want you. We want Phillip Rivers. And then Tom knew that he could not go back to the Patriots after he had been disrespected. Like they disrespected him. Like he's the GOAT. You got to pay him. That's just what it is. You got to pay to go.
I'm looking at it from like the standpoint of the Patriots. Like Bill Belichick has been notorious for getting rid of players like right as they look like they're kind of like not even like past their prime, but getting to that like getting to past their prime. He'll get rid of players, and so it seems like they've kept it together there in Indy or in New England for such a long time. But at some point, it's kind of like you got to look at like you've got a 42-year-old quarterback, and you want to keep like at some point you got to move on.
I do feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, it's a 50-50, 50 from Brady, 50 from Belichick. I'm one of those people where like I definitely respect what Tom Brady has done all those times. I know that Tom Brady has definitely taken a lot of credit for stuff that he deserves to. But I do feel like with Belichick, it definitely is, when it comes to the Belichick way of the Patriots, that's why they call it Belichick way. I mean, people forget that when Tom Brady was out for a while with Matt Castle, that was a playoff caliber team. The fact that they didn't.
I think they went 11-5.
11-5. The fact that they did not make the playoffs from 11-5, like that doesn't speak to how they were as a team. They just got unlucky that year. They could have easily still done pretty well in that playoffs during that time.
Yeah. So do you see?
And how did Matt Castle do in any other teams? Like I think he went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Not that great. So I think it speaks volumes as to what the coach is there.
And were they undefeated with Jimmy G?
Were they undefeated? I don't know if they were undefeated.
No, Jimmy G, he went 4-0, but like here's the thing with the whole Jimmy G thing. And the Patriot way or the Belichick way, it's broken because if Robert Kraft wanted to control somebody and their decisions, he needs to go ahead and hire his own GM. I mean, you have Belichick being the GM and the coach. Of course, he's going to make some football decisions that you're not going to like as the owner. Mm-hmm. But you're going to have a little more say if you go ahead and separate Belichick's responsibilities. Now, to me, I wish they could have kept Jimmy G. He was ready to ship out Tom Brady years ago.
I think so, yeah.
But to me, you can't. Like, I feel like the Patriots, the fact that Robert Kraft sat there and told Belichick, you got to get rid of Jimmy G because we're riding with Tom. You got to keep riding with Tom. You got to keep Tom a Patriot for life. It makes no sense after 20 years to say, you know what? Thank you for 20 years, but you're not worth the $25 million a year. Like that is crazy to me. So.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like that's the biggest thing about this quarantine coronavirus time that we're in is that Tom Brady made a move that was just so bold.
Now we get to really see, okay, is Tom Brady, now that he's with another system, can he carry himself the same way? Because, he's not going to have the same defense. He's not going to have that same offensive line, which I guess kind of got a little more shoddy as the years went on.
This is a much better offense.
Oh, he has much better receivers and stuff, no doubt. I mean, Mike Evans. Yeah. Do they still have O.J. Howard? I think they still have O.J. Howard. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I was studying their depth chart, and I don't remember seeing that name, but I know it's Godwin.
Yeah, Terry Godwin.
And I think they got Brait or
But
what's his name?
I
That
saw
tight
this
end.
the other day that Jameis Winston led the league in like yards threat in total yards, and the Bucks still
Hmm.
didn't make the playoffs. So it's just like replace Jameis Winston with Tom Brady. Definitely
Well,
expect.
here's the thing: like the Bucks has always been like one of the more talented teams. Like for the past 3 years, you're just like, look at all this talent they got. Oh, they got Deshaun Jackson now. Oh, this is definitely going to put them over the hump now. Oh, they have a new defensive lineman and so forth. Oh, this is going to put them over the hump. But it never does. So now we get to see: is it coaching or was it really Jameis Winston that's been holding him back?
Well,
No, look, I could tell y'all. Look. Let me tell y'all. So the past two seasons, Bucks have been what 7-9 and the 7-9.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, half of the losses this year were because Jameis threw it right to the opposing team. Like Jameis had 30 TDs, 30 interceptions. Tom Brady might not throw 3 interceptions all year. So imagine. No, so let's just say worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. Tom Brady throws 15 interceptions. If he cuts that number in half, that 7-9 team that threw 30 interceptions will win the NFC South like walking into the playoffs. So to me, Bruce Arians' system is proven to work because you're able to get Jameis Winston to throw. I think he almost threw for 5,000 yards. Like you got Jameis
right,
Winston to be successful.
right. Well, that's the
As
point.
though,
It's like if you take away the interceptions, like he actually had kind of a good season. Like he had a pretty good season.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
his coach also like encouraged a lot of things that he did too, because like there was the no risk it, no biscuit kind of style for him. So that kind of reflected off of Jameis a little bit.
and but going to you know back to like what's it going to be like Tom Brady not being part of Belichick's system. I think that's the thing Brady wants to feel. I think he wants to feel a little bit
Yeah.
looser. I think he wants to be a little bit more open. But at the same time, going back to your comment about is it they bring in these talented players and it never puts them over the like that's just the thing about football. Like look at Cleveland. I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
Browns fan. Like I watch the team. Like talent, you know, in basketball you can bring in a talented dude that's probably going to turn your fortunes around. Football is so much more about just like it's got to work within the huddle. It doesn't
Yeah.
like you could have Baker Mayfield is still a talented quarterback, I believe, and Odell Beckham is one of the best wide receivers. But if I'm having a hard time just linking up with you and knowing where you're running your route, like I don't care how good of a passer you are, like it's hard for me to like that connection is not going to work if we're not on the same page. And so I think that goes back to Belichick a little bit more of keeping a system and a unit together that is able to that may not be as talented, but is just always so locked in and like, but you know, but again, that could also be Brady, like in the huddle, like keeping it that way.
Yeah, yeah, because like with a quarterback, like that definitely matters in terms of like people being on the same page with the quarterbacks and stuff like that. Because you can always see when you're seeing Matt Ryan the way he talks to his receivers, like that's one of the huge parts of his games. It's Julio Jones knowing, hey, if I'm in trouble, I need you to be right here. If I'm rolling out, I'm expecting you to come back for this ball and all that. So
Mhm.
I can definitely see how that's even more of a thing for the quarterback, more so than it could.
I mean, Belichick kind of fell into the perfect storm because you got a 6th-round quarterback to replace at that time a perennial All-Pro quarterback in Drew Bledsoe. So my thing is Belichick uses it just seems like Belichick he'll draft you, work you like a slave, and then will tell you, hey, if you want to get paid, you got to go somewhere else. But if you want to win games, you stay here. And that's usually what happens. Guys will choose that money after they've won a ring with the Patriots or something, and then Bill Belichick knows that, hey, let me just reload. And the fact that he had a 6th-round quarterback, he knew that, hey, this guy's going to stay humble. This guy's going to take whatever money I give him because he's addicted to winning, not the money or the status. So, man, it's just wild to me. I think Belichick long term, of course, is going to do better than Brady, but this year though, it's going to be. I don't see who's going to be quarterback. Who's going to be quarterback for New England?
You know, a lot of the drafts have them taking Jordan Love, who I noticed is like 6'4", kind of like Tom Brady, so in terms of size and like stature. So I'm wondering if that's kind of like what they see them doing is just trying to get a younger Brady and to plug into that system, or if it's like they might be looking at, you know, and one way like I kind of thought is maybe Belichick is looking at, you know, Mahomes in Kansas City, or and thinking about trying to retool it to maybe bring in more of a mobile quarterback, and that's why, like with Jameis Winston being available, like some people have said, like, would they take a chance on Jameis?
Can we take a chance on Cam? Like, Cam Newton does not have a job right now.
Well, wait. Which team do you think should take a chance on Cam Newton?
Shoot, what do the Chargers? Chargers don't have a QB right now.
The Chargers did make sense. Didn't the Chargers go for somebody? I think they grabbed because I know Phillip Rivers went to Indianapolis.
Yeah,
I don't know who the Chargers ended up.
It's
I don't know if
like
they ended up with anything. No, I wouldn't be surprised if Cam went with the Chargers. Of course you have Atlanta fans here. It's like, oh, we should bring Cam in. No,
nah.
Not at all.
But you know what's crazy though? For being a former MVP, you could buy him. You could get him maybe on a 1-year deal for $5 or $6 million. Like it really just depends. It depends on the situation.
You seriously want to replace Matt Ryan?
No. I don't. But I feel like, right now, there aren't 15 quarterbacks better than Cam Newton. Like I can't.
Not really saying a lot.
No.
Especially the way the league is right now. With
but Cam Newton is in the top half of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Can we agree with that?
The thing is, though, like, he's a wild card because he has to change the way he plays the game.
What was that, Michael?
Like, to me, like, Cam Newton's a wild card because from what I saw from him last season, he's still trying to figure himself out because now he has to create a whole nother identity. You know, the first 4 or so years of his career, he's literally Superman. He's able to take all these hits and all that. And then once, he starts taking more hits to the head and he's less protected and he begins to realize, oh, man, my body is getting wrecked and these refs aren't even protecting me. Now he's so messed up to the point to where he couldn't really throw a deep pass all that well because of so many hits that he took.
Like, when a player is injured, like you might have like memories of when the guy was like an all-pro, but like sometimes you gotta assess it in the moment and go like that he's not that player right now. Like you kind of, if Cam Newton is injured and banged up and he can't, like, you don't trust him like rolling out and all that, like, yeah, he's probably better than most quarterbacks available, but I don't think that we can rely on him on being like a playoff or like, I think he's kind of like a guy to get you through the season.
Well, here's the thing, and I like that you mentioned how you mentioned get through the season because I want to hear your opinion on this. Who is the more reliable quarterback, Nick Foles or Cam Newton? Because Nick Foles, has had this whole weird thing with when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, throughout the playoffs. He just made the right plays at the right time, was able to get him through the hump and all that. Compared to Cam Newton, who used to have an electrifying career, but at the same time couldn't make those plays in the Super Bowl when he was there to kind of get his team through the hump. Like,
Jordan, it looks like you have something you want to say, but
he's insulted.
Man, because like, okay, so with that whole, Okay, no, Cam Newton just ran his play. Von Miller played the game of his life. Also, Cam Newton had a much better game than Peyton Manning that
Oh,
day.
that's
That's all. That's
indisputable.
all I'm gonna say.
Peyton Manning did.
But
Can I say? I want to say something that's like people aren't going to agree with me with. Peyton Manning did not deserve to start in that Super Bowl. I still think Trevor Siemian should have deserved to start over him. He made it there simply over status. If you look at the stats that Peyton Manning had during that time with the Broncos in his last year, he was not doing well.
Yeah, and I remember that Super Bowl, and I remember like it was pretty much an all defensive. And you're right. I think Trevor Siemian also could have won that Super Bowl, but I do think it's right that Peyton Manning. I think Peyton Manning having two championships is right for him. Like I think as a quarterback, he's worth like. What are you shaking your head about, Jordan?
I guess like Peyton, like it's only right that Peyton has 2 rings. You know what? Like I guess I don't really care about the quarterback. But back to the question at hand, I would take Cam Newton over Nick Foles. I don't care if Cam got hurt. I just know that if Cam gets hurt versus Nick Foles getting hurt, I know that there's going to be a severe drop-off with Cam, whereas my next man up is probably just as good as Nick Foles. Like, to me, Nick Foles is not a good quarterback.
Well,
like,
the thing is, if Nick Foles gets hurt, though, like, Nick Foles is used to being the traditional pocket passer, to where Cam Newton is still trying to figure out how he can just be a traditional pocket passer.
Stop it. He
in terms of him playing the game. That was not his primary way of playing the game. His primary way is, hey, if I'm going to see something in a hole, I'm going to shoot for that, and I'm going to pick up a couple of yards. And if I can see an open receiver, I'm going to throw him open.
Y'all forgot about that 15-1 season. So Cam Newton was only running, and for the majority of the time that he ran was in the red zone. But Cam Newton is a pocket passer. Like I don't care what nobody says. Like this ain't Michael Vick having a 400-yard game and saying, "Oh, I'm a pocket passer." No, like Cam Newton won MVP for a reason. Like Lamar Jackson won MVP for a reason. Like these guys are pocket passers who just happen to be athletic and can run. Like that's really it.
But I think going back to Mike's question of who is more reliable, if it comes to,
I want Cam.
If the question is who is the more talented and the more talented quarterback, Cam Newton definitely. But if we're talking about right now, like who do you trust just being able to, like, who would you hand the controls over to? I think if you're talking about a quarterback that can make make the right passes, then I think that fits more the category of reliable.
Yeah, and then that's kind of where I was going at with that question, because like in terms of like overall reliability is like throughout the entire season, regardless of who they have to work with teammate wise, like I just feel like I'm more comfortable with Nick Foles. Is he like, if he's set up to fail, then yeah, he's not going to be able to push you over that hump. But if he has like a good enough team to where, it's a 500 team and all that, like, yeah, he can kind of make some magic happen, I think. With Cam Newton, though, I mean, like, depending on his health, of course. Yeah, if he's extremely healthy, then yeah, he's going to be better than Nick Foles.
He's healthy, and he's going to be healthy this year. He's going to be real healthy this year.
Playing for who?
hopefully the Patriots. I want to see him on the Patriots, man. Like, that's going to – I mean, it's like, what, like, Patriots,
do you think Belichick –
Raiders –
do you think Belichick can figure out how to put – how to work with that style of quarterback? I mean, I think eventually he could, but do you think
why do y'all keep saying style of quarterback?
Because he does things his way, so it's gonna be a certain style.
No.
He's not gonna mold it around. He didn't mold with Tim Tebow when Tebow was there. He's just like, you're gonna play it this way.
The slowest quarterback, and like, for the last like 20 years, that's what he's been using.
Okay, now that Cam has his shoulder repaired, y'all really don't think Cam Newton can make the same throws in the same reads?
The same throws in the same reads as who? Tom Brady?
It's Tom Brady.
No,
I don't.
Tom
Brady has 6 Super Bowls.
No, like my thing, like my. Oh my goodness! But my thing is with Cam Newton is he. I don't care back position like from head to toe. You put him in there, and for the Patriots, they're winning the AFC East, standing up
Is that
13-4.
Is that because of him, or is that because of
And that's
Belichick?
because yes. I mean, of course, Belichick's going to get the credit, but I mean, Belichick should get the credit for if we really being honest. But we calling Tom Brady the GOAT. So
True.
to me, look, I might be overrated. I might be overrating Cam Newton, but as an MVP quarterback, he should not be a free agent this late into this little off season, the little NFL off season. It just doesn't make sense.
See,
But
I don't know. I think that's the debate we're having right now. Is where to rate Cam Newton? Is he overrated, underrated, properly rated? What is our base idea of what Cam Newton is? Is he, because I think right now he is the kind of player that can make superstar plays way more than Nick Foles. I think at his peak, he's playing to his peak. Like he's gonna make more significant plays. At the same time, is he going to be? Is he reliable to do that day in and game in and game out? I feel confident that even if he's not having a good game, I could still say to him, hey, like hand the ball off, run different stuff. Like I'm not sure Cam is going to be as like accepting of just handing the ball off. I think he's going to be more of the player that if he's going to be trying to keep throwing his way, like he's going to keep relying on his arm to like get him out of trouble if he's in trouble.
Hold on, wait. So why is it that Cam is all of a sudden defiant when it comes to play calling? Like I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind a little bit of ground and pound.
He had the right running game in Carolina, though. I mean, like, and that's the thing. Like, it also kind of depends on which coach.
Y'all didn't see
because,
how
like,
good
McCaffrey
was?
I do feel because, for example, with the Bears, with Trubisky, and now that Nick Foles are having to compete with each other, I feel like regardless of who's going to start, I still feel like their offense is going to be garbage because I feel like they're not utilizing their players well. I mean, they weren't using Tariq Cohen at all throughout last season. And how well was he doing the seasons beforehand? Tremendously well, until they swapped offensive coordinators.
Yeah, man, but it's just hard for me. I guess like so. Here's my final take on the Cam Newton thing. So in the NFC South, you have Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. Cam Newton fits more in that cluster of players than Nick Foles. Just saying. But also, Carolina looked at this, and they were like, you know what? No matter what, we're going to have the worst quarterback in the conference. So we might as well start fresh, get rid of Cam's contract, and, keep it pushing. But, that's the one thing about NFL contracts. They're not guaranteed. So he could be – I feel like he could be a backup somewhere. But if he is going to start, put him in a Patriot uniform.
If he's going to start.
If he's going to start, put him in a Patriot uniform. 1 year, $6 million. That's all you get. That's all he getting. $6 million. 1 year.
All right. So let's move on and talk about, because you bring up all of the quarterbacks in the NFC. So how do you let's shift this to the NFC South. How do you guys see the season shaping up?
Man, it's going to be tough. I still think that the front runners in the NFC South are still, and I really hate to say this, the New Orleans Saints. Just Drew Brees is losing a couple steps every now and then, but I still feel like Sean Payton is still the lead coach right now in terms of like best coaching in the NFC South and getting his team prepared for all the games that need to be prepared for. They still have a stout running game with Alvin Kamara. Their defense, while not dominant, is still pretty good for the most part.
Cam Jordan would be the best player on Atlanta's defense. Just letting you know that.
Like, I do think a lot of cards are on Atlanta's table. If they played the way they did in the last half of last season, then they could be in good shape. It's just that with the schedule that they have, boy, this better be a season where Dan Quinn can prove that he can coach.
Yeah, how do you assess where they are, just going back to the Super Bowl and where we are now? Do you think that what we've seen the last 2 years is just still a spiral from there? And do you think that these moves that they made recently are able to kind of jumpstart and kind of get them rallying around kind of making a deep playoff run again? Or where do you see that, Mike?
I still believe that the players definitely respect him a lot. That's part of the reason why they won as many games as they did towards the end, because they're just we don't want to let our coach down. Let's go ahead and win this for him. And I really do think the majority of the problem really was just Dan Quinn not really knowing how to handle being a defensive coordinator while being head coach. Now that he actually starts putting people in place in the right positions of, oh, okay, he's doing well at, coaching the defense after all. I'm going to let him take care of that. Oh, I'm going to let this person take care of all the time issues so I don't have to miss certain timeouts and stuff like that. That definitely matters. I do feel like he still has the ability to be a pretty good coach. I do still think that his defense is a little too simplistic. Hopefully the new coordinator in place kind of elaborates a little bit more on it instead of just having a base defensive style that people can pick apart really easily. But, with the talent, like we've been talking about before with the Buccaneers, the talent is definitely there for the Falcons. This offense can light people up. There's no reason why we can't win up to 10 games at least.
What do you think about the Todd Gurley move?
Permanent running back solution, maybe not. I mean, it's still kind of a thing where you would definitely have to limit his carries. But, if you look at the numbers straight up, I mean, he still has more games played than Devontae Freeman. He still gets more yards and more touchdowns than Devontae Freeman. Even with the arthritis in his knee, he's still getting at least 800 yards some seasons. So, I mean,
we just need 700 yards and 10 TDs. That's it.
The only time where the past, I think 2017 he had over 1,000, 2018 he had over 1,000, then 2019 he had 857 with 15 games played. That's not bad. I mean, that's not the greatest thing, but he still has double-digit touchdowns of 12 touchdowns. While you look at Devontae Freeman, he hasn't had a double-digit touchdown season since 2016. So it's still an upgrade.
Well,
yeah, especially for the money too.
A quality runner. The one thing is, with that knee injury, having Gurley taking on, most of the carries, to me, it's you would probably want to, I would probably want to see another running back be brought in just so that he doesn't have to take on as many of the carries. So you can split it up a little bit more.
Well, at some point they have to find somebody more permanent. I mean, how many more times are we going to have to draft a running back late in the mid rounds or something like that? Because we've been having to shuffle between a lot of these people like Ito Smith, which I love Ito Smith. For what he is, he's been really serviceable. Then you had Quadre Allison, which Allison looked okay. He didn't seem like a long-term guy, but he did his job pretty well when he needed to step up. So it's one of those things where, if we do get a running back again this season, he better be more of a long-term solution this time around. Would I like to see Swift come here? Yeah. But, at some point you gotta get tired of a lot of these fans being like, oh, we're not successful because we're not getting UGA players. Even when Todd Gurley wasn't drafted by us and we got Vic Beasley instead, I was kind of annoyed by that just because you got to draft based on need. And to me, Vic Beasley still made the most sense at the time. Yeah, hindsight is 2020 and all that. But to me, it was still the better move to get Vic Beasley at the time, and Vic Beasley still put us at that hump to where we could get to the Super Bowl. It just looks like a bad move now that he's not getting as many sacks.
To be honest, with running backs, I mean, like if this was the NFL, what, 30, 40 years ago, yeah, I would say, yeah, let's look for a running back for the long term. But this is a different NFL, and you have thousands of guys right now who can do the same job, and that's why these running backs don't get these long contracts. They don't get the big money because literally, once you play out your rookie contract, there is a guy who's 21, 22, who is bigger, faster, more athletic than you, and they're gonna use them up and then ship them off like they're a used car. Like that's just how it is at the running back position. But like for us to have Gurley, Allison, and Ito Smith,
I think the
I
tandem's
kind of
fine
like
as
that
is.
committee.
Yeah.
I like that committee.
I know we've talked a little bit about Brady, and you mentioned about the Saints probably being your favorite. Like right now, like how do you see like this division stacking up right now? Like just giving kind of like a feel on like your 1 through 4.
I would not be surprised if the Saints won the division. Like Jordan was saying, the Falcons, I could see them being a wild card. Hopefully, they wouldn't have to depend on that extra spot that they just allowed in the playoffs. But, should they, God forbid, have another start like they did last season where things don't start out right, they can at least hopefully finish up to where they can kind of squeeze themselves in. I don't really see them being left out of the playoffs this time. Now that they kind of have a better sense of who they are and how they work together, I can see the Falcons at least being a wild card. I don't see the Panthers making themselves into the playoffs yet. I can probably see them still as probably a 6-win team or so.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is a wild card to me. I have no idea what to expect from Tampa Bay. They can finally reach their potential and win like 12 games, or they could still be mediocre and win like 8 or 9 games.
I don't see Tom Brady winning fewer than 10. I mean, we'll find. I mean, that's the wild card. Thing about this. I mean, about Tampa Bay is we don't know. We haven't seen Tom Brady operate outside of the Patriots, so it could all be like all new team, new coach, all that. I just can't see Tom Brady not having single-digit wins. But I did see, and to that point, like someone on Around the Horn the other day was mentioning about the off-season situation, whether or not there's going to be a chance for a training camp and all that with all the coronavirus situation, and how that will play a factor in teams that have more continuity, like being able to get into the season and get off to a better start. Which in that case, that would you've got Carolina and Tampa both with new quarterbacks. The Saints and Falcons have and I see quarterback and coach kind of being where continuity really matters the most. Saints and Falcons have that continuity. So do you see that really playing a factor in all of this?
I definitely do think that continuity matters. In terms of, especially with a new QB, like things are going to have to settle a bit more. I mean, just look at how, with the Falcons, that they've had to trade coordinators like how many times in the past 10 years or so. That's been holding them back a little while. So the fact that like Tampa Bay is having to find a whole new quarterback, Bruce Arians is a little bit more up to speed with how he wants things. So maybe that'll kind of make a difference. I'm kind of wondering just how big of a difference preseason is going to make. Because to me, like, I'm one of the people that kind of takes a little bit more stake into preseason. I don't know how they're going to handle it now that the virus thing has happened. But to me, whenever I judge the Falcons off their preseasons, it's kind of gone exactly the way I expected to. They say, it doesn't matter. It's preseason because, based off of wins and losses, yeah, of course it doesn't matter. But in terms of what you see from the offensive line and defensive line, what you see is exactly what you're going to get. I mean, if the offensive line is not holding things together, they're not going to hold it together during the regular season. So I think like that's going to be something that I'm going to be watching for a lot of the NFC South teams. Is like, how well do they gel together? Now, of course, when it comes to cohesiveness, yeah, that can change. But in terms of like how well certain offensive and defensive lines can hold together, how well or how comfortable the quarterback is with the team, that's going to come into play there.
I just think, and Mike pointed out the cohesiveness between the quarterback and the coach, and in my most humble opinion, both have to be great in order for greatness to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Quinn is just not a great coach. The reason why we keep having this conveyor belt of coordinators is because Dan Quinn is finding them. He thinks he's finding them ineffective, but really he's the one that's ineffective. The reason why we go 6-2 at the end of the season was because Dan Quinn relinquished some of his responsibility and gave it to Raheem Morris and others on that staff. So to me, I think Atlanta actually has the best chance of finishing dead last in this division based on their coach.
Well, you say that he's not a great coach, but that's also because, like, again, he was taking on more responsibilities than he should have. 2015, that was the beginning. And, he had Kyle Shanahan, which, by the way, people forget, not that many people liked Kyle Shanahan the first season. He didn't use Roddy White a lot. People thought that he had a vendetta against Roddy. And then
Roddy was out of shape. Roddy
was out of shape, yeah.
Roddy was out of shape.
But then come the second year, 2016, things go super well and all that. And then suddenly people are like, oh, why didn't we hold on to Shanahan when Shanahan just wanted to go to a different team? So why, what else could we really do about it? And at that point, I thought the next pair of coaches, like, they were okay. Dan Quinn was still in his lane as head coach. He wasn't trying to do too much. And people often forget about the season after Super Bowl. The season after the Super Bowl really wasn't too bad. I mean, yeah, I didn't really like how the offense was being ran, but you were still one play away from getting back to the NFC Championship game when you lost to the Eagles, when it was just due to the last throw and Julio couldn't come down.
We lost to Nick Foles. Oh, my goodness.
And so did Tom Brady.
Last year's Atlanta team was so frustrating. Because you're talking about a team that beat the NFC champions.
Yep.
The NFC hold on. Maybe it was just me, but I thought San Francisco at that point they were going to be NFC champions, no doubt. I didn't think there was a team better than them in the NFC.
Oh, I knew they were going to make it as far as they did.
That was the one game I knew the Browns had no chance last year. I was just like, they played them last year, and there were several teams like we were close with, but that one game I was just like, yeah, this is gonna be like 30-0.
And just like I just don't understand. I guess like Atlanta, when Atlanta is interested, they are one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
When they are uninterested, they are down there with the Dolphins. They down there with the Lions. They down there with the Bengals. Like they are really Jekyll and Hyde like that.
And that's
why like this pass rush is really going to matter, because it's going to really affect how well your corner is going to be now that Desmond Trufant isn't there. Which I still feel like Desmond Trufant got way too much hate than he deserved. I still thought that he was a pretty good cornerstone for the corners in general. I didn't particularly like his style of play, just from like playing off the receiver way too much. I don't know if that was coaching, or I don't know if that was his particular play style. But it seemed like, from the defense in general, the corners played off way too much. And I feel like they played a lot better once they finally played loose and decided to be aggressive for once.
But see, Trufant just got paid too much, and Trufant wasn't the same. It was like as soon as he signed that contract, he lost like half of his athleticism. So it's like, that's why he started sagging off, because he knew that he wasn't strong enough or quick enough.
Well, he also got injured, we're forgetting. Like, it kind of took him a while to get over that injury.
It's like Atlanta want to sign guys and they get injured. Like,
but do you feel like most teams have that nature in them to be just flip switchers?
There's not a lot of teams that I feel like are just flip switchers. Like, Jacksonville's not flip switcher. That's just who they are. Maybe the Texans were, just because they had that ability, especially with Watson at quarterback. Sometimes they felt like they could be one of the top teams, and sometimes they were kind of still at the bottom of the barrel. That's one of the flip switchers, I think, aside from the Falcons. But there's not really a lot. I mean, like, the Browns were kind of who they were. You didn't really get to see a whole high side of them last season. The Bears were just who they were. They weren't really flip switchers. I mean, you saw really good things from their defense and stuff sometimes, but they didn't really have that many positive to show as well.
Yeah, I just feel like that's interesting because I think so many teams are just like it's the team that they are when they go out there on the field, and you kind of just wonder like, can they isolate the thing that makes them play well, or is it sometimes, or do you feel like there's still chemistry or locker room problems like lingering from years ago?
Like, to me, you got to get rid of Dan Quinn. Like, at the end of the day, this is a Dan Quinn problem. Like, I do agree with Mike what he said earlier that, like, yeah, we're not going 6-2 last year if we don't respect Dan Quinn. But part of that respect for Dan Quinn was also them playing for their checks too. Like, I mean, we were talking about scrapping the whole team, the core, all of that, if the season had went a lot different than it did. Like, being 7-9 saved a whole lot of people, including Matt Ryan, because I feel like we're drafting a quarterback, possibly this draft or the next draft.
This draft, I don't think so.
I know, but I'm saying if let's just say we don't go 7-9.
Yeah.
We're thinking like that's because think about it. Matt Ryan is almost 35.
Yeah.
This is something that we got to think about.
Totally was.
This is something that we got to think about. So it's like the fact that we go 7-9 helps us be like, okay, Matt is still going to be Matt. But if we have another season where we're 7-9 or we're worse,
yeah, you gotta start looking.
If we're 7-9 again, I want Justin Fields. Like, I want Justin Fields next season.
Dan Quinn gotta go. Matt Ryan gotta go. Gotta get rid of Julio because that's been a bad contract. Like we're just.
Yeah, well, in what ways is that a bad contract? Because if anything, you trade Julio to get things, but like with Julio, like you still get what you. I still think you're getting a pretty good thing.
Nobody wants that contract. Nobody, like, right now there are 31 other teams that are like, nah, I'm good on that contract. Am I not right? Like, that's the thing. Like you get Julio.
So
right, you get Julio.
You say receivers are a dime and a dozen, but I would say there are some receivers out there. It seems like there's always about 5 receivers that truly like change stuff, and it's like.
Yeah.
If Julio Jones is out there and he's available, some team that's looking to like who's looking for a star, maybe the Patriots now that with Cam Newton, maybe they need a talented wide receiver now. But yeah, I think that in that case, then those truly talented top end receivers, I think are kind of more in the line of like NBA players when it comes to like their like being able to like leverage like their talent and like it could kind of be like true stars of the league.
So like what I do want to know, like what is your standard for the Atlanta Falcons this season? Because for me, like it's just simply get to the playoffs. Every year everybody wants the Super Bowl. Everybody's just like the standard is the Super Bowl, and that sounds great on paper and all that. But to me, like, just get me to the playoffs. Just get to the playoffs and see where we go. Like, that's enough for me to save his job, I think. That's enough to save Dan Quinn's job to me.
7. See, here's the thing. A playoff win is my expectation.
Yeah.
And only, but here's the thing. I'm also a part of the mindset that, you have a window where you have to win a Super Bowl. Our window has opened and it has closed. So right now we're just in a holding pattern until we get a new core of players, and then we'll go and compete for Super Bowl again.
I think if they make the playoffs, that buys Dan Quinn another year. But I think it's kind of I think that's a situation where this isn't a pressing issue right now. We have a coach that can get us to the playoffs. So I don't think it's a fire sale at that point. I don't think you're like saying we need to gut all this now. But I do think it's you're buying it one more year to be able to kind of make those decisions in 2021.
The whole hopping from coach to coach thing has been an issue for Atlanta. Arthur Blank has said that for himself. It's just like, look, I've learned to be a lot more patient over the years because if you keep on throwing things into the pot, you're never going to get any consistency out of it. So, I mean, it's one of those things where like –
Sorry, welcome to being a Browns fan. what has been our problem?
Like if you have to get some kind of consistency.
but bringing it back to Dan Quinn, I know that he's key in them bringing in Dante Fowler. So how do you see that playing into this season?
I can see him being like the standard 10 to 12 sack guy, and if he is 10 to 12, I'm satisfied because it's still more than Vic Beasley gave us in the past.
Bro, if he's a 10 to 12 sack guy, we're in the Super Bowl. Like I don't look when Vic Beasley had his season. Literally, it was because he had what's his face on the other side.
Dwight Freeney.
Freeney. I was about to say Human Euro, but Human Euro played on the Falcons for a little bit.
Yeah, for like a year or two, I think.
Yikes! He had Freeney on the other side. So like to me, it's like okay, I see how he got those stats, but it's like you have Fowler and you have Grady Jarrett. I just need if we get like that is a miracle. That would be a miracle. Double-digit sacks from Fowler. Like I don't think y'all understand how big that would be because
and even if Tack can get like
that means Atlanta could be bad for half the games this year and still make the playoffs comfortably. That's what 10 sacks says.
Mm-hmm. Because the corner situation is good. We just got to get pressure on the quarterback. Like, you get enough pressure at least, get 10 sacks out of one guy, get 8 sacks from Takaris McKinley. Then we can probably start working with something.
Oh, yeah. If we got 30 team sacks, oh my God, I'd jump for joy. I swear. Like that's big, man. This defense, like, is really up to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is the key to all this. He's still the top 10 player in the league. He's still the quarterback that, like, in this division, he is the best quarterback. Until I see Drew Brees' play, elevate. Until I see Tom Brady's play elevate from the last one I saw both of them. I still think Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in this division. So
if we're going off the last time we've seen all of them, I agree.
What right now, who would you say is your way too early Super Bowl favorite next year?
No, Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs.
You know what? I'm still going to go with the Ravens because the Ravens were my pick last year. And I feel like Lamar Jackson still has an even further way up to go because he was already like MVP status this last year. I think he's going to try to prove himself even more. So I've still got them being my AFC, at least, Super Bowl contender. That's way too early.
Yeah. I can see the Ravens as well. I think that Lamar Jackson's still like a young quarterback that's been kind of like blowing up. I think he's still got a ways to go, and that's the Ravens are always dangerous, especially defensively. So like I think the Ravens are good. I think 49ers are going to be right back in it. Right now, like who are y'all saying is the favorite in the NFC South right now?
Saints.
Yeah, still the Saints. As much as I hate to say it, they have the most. They have the most consistency, man. At least throughout the regular season. For whatever postseason woes they have, they're always the team that has their stuff together the most.
Right. My thing is, it's all about how the Bucs kind of come together in the beginning. I think that once they kind of get rolling, like they could be. I would see them as probably like the number 2, but like in the case that Brady is Brady and doesn't need as much time to gel as we think, it's if they get off, like I could see them also like coming together and it being like a Saints Tampa like kind of head to head matchup like throughout the season.
And yeah, and if that happens, Atlanta's not going to the playoffs. If that happens,
Well,
that's all I want to say.
That was going to be my next and possibly last question, unless you guys have another one that you want to throw out there. Is do you see the Falcons making the playoffs in 2020?
I think they're going to surprise some people. I think that they're at least going to be a wild card contender. I think that, the defense changes are definitely going to be the cornerstone of what turns the team around. Dante Fowler is an upgrade from Big Beasley, without a doubt. Is he a huge upgrade? That's one of the things that we're going to have to see. If he is a huge upgrade, then no doubt they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I see them.
I hope you're right.
I see them hovering around that kind of 7-9, or like 9-7. Not quite getting to 10 wins. I think like I see it being Saints, Tampa, kind of double-digit wins, but I see the Falcons kind of hovering around that, perhaps seventh wild card spot. But it's all about how, like we said, how often they turn it on, and kind of that Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. And I think that's going to be where they fall in the playoff picture is going to have to do with that.
Well, it's been a good call. I'm looking forward to how the draft pans out, because that's going to kind of further our thoughts even more once that kind of comes around, in terms of how well does the defense look like it's going to gel together. Are they going to make a couple surprise picks and be like, oh, the Falcons are going to take another wide receiver, which I hope not. That's going to be pretty interesting to see.
Wide receivers out there.
Look, see, and we're gonna take Jerry Jeudy. We're gonna take Jerry Jeudy, and we're gonna have 3 Alabama wide receivers. We're gonna be like,
Bama. and a dog in the backfield.
And they swear Matt Ryan didn't play in the SEC. They swear.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you guys, talking football, talking sports, because right now, with no sports being played, it's definitely good to be able to sit and have some good old-fashioned sports talk. So,
agreed.